Hello Physical Fiends, it is Jordan here with an update about R-Type Dimensions 3 and on the Switch 2 itself. It is a two-handed video about things that are connected. So, if you were not aware, it was leaked that Nintendo is now offering smaller cartridge sizes for the Nintendo Switch 2. And it was actually me who leaked that. I didn't make a video about it, but I posted it on Twitter, which appeared in news articles and other people's YouTube videos. I saw them, and I do appreciate everyone who said nice things about me in the comment section. It's very kind of you. And it is true, I confirmed it privately with 3 separate people, and then in games, ill-advisedly, later on they announced the details publicly too, which they swiftly deleted, no doubt after they got a phone call from Nintendo. So now, instead of only having 64GB Switch 2 cartridges, publishers will now be able to also choose 16 and 32, which for me is very good news. Now, when this did break, because it's social media, you always have a bunch of people who want to immediately put a negative spin on it for some reason, but overall, it is good news. It's not turning things around completely. We're not going to see a huge flood of new physical announcements, but certainly more than we otherwise would. Why? Well, it will just be a bit cheaper for publishers now, especially for smaller games who really didn't need that overpriced 64 gigs. And the awful sales of the majority of the game key releases, whether publishers care about proper physicals or not, what they do care about is more profit. If a proper physical is likely to sell 10 times more than a game key, of course, publishers will go with that option, even if the upfront cost is higher for them. And these smaller cartridges, bringing the margins to be more favorable, it's going to help. Not completely, but it is going to help. And it's also not a complete solution to the second major problem, and that is AAA games. At least many of them. I think most of them are still going to be game keys, especially ones that were developed primarily for higher spec systems and have bloated file sizes, and also require higher data transfer speeds than even a Switch 2 cartridge is capable of. Why Nintendo does not allow installs from a cartridge, it is a mystery. That would be the obvious solution, but we don't have that option. However, overall, this is a really solid victory for physical media. It is heading in the right direction, whether you want to be miserable about it or not. And that leads me on to R-Type Dimensions 3, which has already had a bit of a roller coaster life since it was announced last week, because by then it was announced for PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo Switch 2, of which there was no indication that it would be a game key. There was no banner on the artwork, there was no wording in the listing, but slowly it came to light that even in games were not sure. And once they'd done the math, they kind of realized that actually it would have to be a game key. But in an exciting twist of events, literally a day later, Nintendo gave publishers a memo saying that they would be able to do these cheaper, smaller cartridges. And so, 24 hours after getting flack for admitting R-Type would be a game key, they changed their minds again. And on Nintendo Switch 2, in games have decided that it will be a proper cartridge after all. The caveat being that the Switch 2 physical will be a bit more expensive than the other versions, although those who already pre-ordered it will have the original price on it, which is nice. So let me detail this release while I am here. Next year, there will be a retail release of a standard edition in Europe. There is no mention of anything to do with North America. The standard retail is not up for pre-order yet. Maybe a North American edition will pop up whenever, that does. However, what is available for pre-order right now is definitely a European exclusive. For each of the consoles, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo Switch 2, there are 2 more special editions, okay? There is a limited special edition which contains the game, an art book, as well as a soundtrack CD. This is available to order at In Games' website in Europe, or Video Games Plus, they will be carrying some copies too. However, exclusive to In Games' website, they have a massive collector's edition, which includes the soundtrack and art book, as well as lots of art prints and a really nice looking figure, and it better be for the price, because it's very, very expensive. I've linked all of these down below, and any purchase made via those links to support me in very, very much in the best way possible. With In Games, you can also get 5% off if you click my link and use the code PARADISE, which, if for some reason you're gonna get the big Daddy Edition, that might help out quite a bit. And thank you if you do use my link, I really appreciate that. I have added R-Type Dimensions 3 to my true Switch 2 physicals list. You can check that down below to see how the list of Switch 2 physicals has really grown over the past 6 months. I think it's looking alright, all things considered. Bookmark that to keep track of it. I've linked it down below in the description too, and I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Take care!